Ollie, how have EU leaders then been reacting to comments for Orban, who, not for the first time, of course, has become something of a thorn in the side to some of their ambitions?
Yeah, this is sort of his favorite role here in the EU, as being sort of a bit of a sort of contrarian and going against the EU. But it's a sort of very serious issue when it comes to things like Ukraine. I mean, the sort of overall message from the EU has been the one that we've heard for many, many years now on the vis-a-vis Ukraine. We heard it again last night from Ursula von der Leyen, saying that the main message today was full support for Ukraine as long as it takes. So this means trying to get, again, more arms shipments. But there is a sort of not a great deal of optimism that they're going to be able to bring a whole lot more to Ukraine. Just given how long this has been going on and how long they've been trying to mobilize some of these things. The concern now, Tom, is the focus on actually losing things and potentially losing the ability to continue to roll on these sanctions. How this works in Europe is there have been 15 rounds of sanctions on Russia. These are sort of re-upped every single 6 months. That requires unanimous vote from all 27 member states, of which Hungary is one. And what we understand is that Orban has said basically he will not be in favor of rolling them over until the inauguration of President Trump. The inauguration of President Trump comes 11 days before the deadline to roll those sanctions over once more. So this is going to be a very sort of large concern. And we should say that over this entire meeting, the big question that is looming over virtually every single question in Europe is Donald Trump. And frankly, leaders do not want to give a lot in terms of what they think their policy should be, approach should be to Trump. Everybody is in sort of wait and see mode for Europe, which is not really a very strong or confident position to be in ahead of what could be a very disruptive presidency from the United States.
Well, talking of that incoming presidency, Ollie, a line dropping a couple of minutes ago from the incoming President Trump on Truth Social, and I'll read it directly from what is put out on this social media platform that, of course, he owns. He says, and I'm quoting directly, "I told the European Union that they must make up their tremendous deficit with the United States by the large-scale purchase of our oil and gas. Otherwise, it's tariffs all the way!" Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. Ollie, do we read this as a positive sign? This is, to some, a reminder that Trump is using the threat of tariffs to leverage a deal, or is it a reminder of his intent to go after Europe?
So listen, I think you could say it's a positive sign insofar as it begins to sketch out negotiating positions for what the Trump administration is going to want to get from the EU, right? All we had previously is 10%, maybe 20% tariffs. Trade deficit is a problem. This starts to sketch out a little bit of the negotiating lines, and that is what everybody expects from Donald Trump, that this is going to be a negotiation, that these are going to be just gambits in order to get what he wants. It seems like what he wants is more oil and gas to be purchased from the United States by the European Union. The good news is that the European Union is buying a lot more oil and gas from the United States ever since the invasion of Russia, of Ukraine. The fact that this gas transit deal of this gas that goes through Ukraine right now is not going to be rolled over next year. That is 15 billion cubic meters of gas that is going there every single year. That potentially could be filled by the United States. And really, my first assignment in Germany more than 2 years ago was this floating regasification unit, this boat that is now sort of stationed permanently in the northern part of Europe, northern part of Germany, that converts LNG into gas that can be then sort of taken into the system. And that is the sort of thing that basically where American LNG would arrive. So the infrastructure is now there, and now we're starting to get an idea sketched out by Donald Trump in terms of what he actually wants. And a point that I think is an important one, and this is a point that Stephen Carroll just made to me we were messaging, is who did he call in the EU? Who is Donald Trump talking to? This is absolutely critical, and this is going to be sort of going to set the tone for who is going to be the power broker in these discussions with the EU, and that is a question I would really love to know the answer to.